Interface builder. Welcome to the webinar. Please stand by. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
It's 6 p.m. already, and we are going to start with what we are going to cover tonight. I'm going to start sharing my screen in a moment. So we are at our session number 10, which was supposed to be the last one, but in fact we are going to have one more, which would be, if you check our schedule that is posted at the very top of your web page, we are going to meet once again on August 24th, and we are going to discuss Charles proxy. And I need to fix this because it's going to be me. And here it's going to be Hanum. So I just forgot to change things. So tonight we are going to cover a few things. We need to finish up something that we haven't time to discuss last time, as we've been talking about what extra scenarios we need to test in mobile apps and what tools does it require. We cover almost everything. We're just missing what it says here. We've been covering location, network, battery, but there is also configuration. And battery sort of implies configuration change, but it's not only battery. And we will talk about what we need to, what I mean by that, and what we need to know. And then we're gonna switch to the accessibility testing, because accessibility testing is super important nowadays. And I will try to convince you and explain why. You are requested to go over one topic on your own, because we really do not have time, but I think you can figure this out, because I am providing you with notes, and I am providing you with a recorded session from one of the previous group. It's a 1 hour session. It used to be 1 hour before your group. So you are the first group that has 2 hour session for mobile application testing. And this is something that is quite important to understand. And that's going to be a part of your homework to watch the session, to go over notes. And when we meet on 24th, I'll try to allocate some time to make sure that you understand the concept. I will ask you some questions. What's the difference? What do you think? And you can ask me questions. What was not clear? And I do encourage you to watch this session, because if you just go and Google difference between hybrid app versus native app, this is the second topic that I usually strongly prohibit to Google before you have some ideas that I share with you, because there is a lot of inaccurate information around this topic as well. So difference between emulator, simulator, somehow not clear just from Google sources, not always clear from Google sources. You might run into the source that is inaccurate and can confuse you. And same story here, mobile web, hybrid cross-platform, something that even people who are working in the industry for a long time might be very much confused. And I don't Google anything before you watch the session and go over notes. That's it. So you have quite a homework, but we also have some time. So today is 12th, and next time we meet almost in 2 weeks. I know you still have tough classes with automation, but the rest of the classes should not be that difficult or technical. And I think you should have enough time to cover the self-learning part, as well as practice what we are going to cover tonight and test Looking Bass from accessibility perspective. Also, that would be the moment, once you're done practicing accessibility testing, I have created the Google form that is anonymous. I'm not collecting anyone's name, anyone's emails, or anything like that. But I would like you to please answer the second part of the question about the project. But this time, please focus on the activities you performed, mainly what was your role, what type of testing have you done, what tools have you used, and why did you use them. Something that we started talking about a couple of sessions ago, and I gave you an examples how you can approach answering this. So after I understand you might not have enough time to actually try out things that we covered on Monday, but I hope that by 24th you are going to have enough time, plus have some experience with accessibility testing. So I'm hoping to see answers from you in this Google form. That's basically just one question, and it says, tell me about your activities on the project. And I would like you to include everything that you've learned and practiced with Looking Bass example, so that you are able to speak about it, to talk about it with your recruiters once it is time. We will briefly review your answers on 24th, and I will publish the answers on the session 24th, on 24th, so that you can check out how your colleagues answered, and so maybe it will help you to redefine your answer, pick some ideas. It's still not going to be, so don't be afraid to share. It's still not going to be something that is copy pasted, because if you write it yourself, if you paraphrase it yourself, if you collaborate on this, we're going to have solid answers to this question. And the number 3 out of homework is optional, and so far it is not clear to you what I mean by that. And when I'm asking you to fix A11Y issues in the Counter app, it's going to be clear. I'm going to get back to this part once we cover our accessibility part tonight. And this is optional, but I highly recommend to do this because I will explain why. And then I'm saying optional, but recommended. Learn about difference in app development, native hybrids, cross-platform. I mean, I highly recommend. I cannot make you to watch this session, but honestly, please do. And this is what we are going to cover. Do you have any questions? Can we mention names on the interview, since it's just a project, not a job position? Names are, we already discussed that you are not saying a Looking Bass. You're describing the project, what is the idea, but you are not saying Looking Bass because you are representing the consulting company, and if you work on consulting company, you are not allowed to reveal the name of your client. which in our case would be looking back. Will we cover interview questions for mobile app testing? We sort of covered them during the whole course, and the whole course is built based on mobile interview questions, mobile application testing interview questions. But I'm really hoping that we'll have enough time, and if we don't, we're gonna stay a little bit longer on during session 11, and we will. I would definitely like to have time with you and. Actually, Hannah was going to also. So Hannah has a session that called Mobile SQL Tools and Interview Questions. So I think she also wanted to. Let's do this. You're gonna have session on 19th before 24th. So Hannah's plan was to cover mobile interview questions because we're sort of sharing them, and that's gonna be the same questions most of the thing. And if I will check with her if she would have time, and it turned out after the session that you cover them, then we might skip them. If she doesn't have enough time, I'll make sure that we will have time on 24th to cover those. Why I cannot guarantee you that she will be doing that or will not be doing that, because whatever you have with Hannah is something that is new during this with your group, because our coverage got extended, and you have more than folks had previously. So we're still experimenting, and so that's why I cannot be 100% sure that she will have time to cover. But I will keep an eye on that, and if she doesn't cover, we will cover. And also about Hannah's materials, she apologized. She said that she wants to add a couple of slides to her presentations, and she said that she's going to send it over to me today or tomorrow so that I will publish those, and you will be able to find it on our webpage next to the Intro to Agile Part 1, Part 2. So that's what we are going to do. I'm not in the position to answer this question. So we have a question. Does it mean we are not allowed or supposed to tell blah blah blah? As I said, for example, I gave you an example last time, that time that we discussed it. If you ever got hired by the company that called Moravia, and you are going on site to work at Apple to do localization or linguistic testing, or some translation of high level. If you ever say you work at Apple and not at Moravia, which is a consulting company that provides resources to Apple, then you are going to get in trouble, because you are going to disclose the name of the client, and you are going to violate your non-disclosure agreement, NDA. So same story here. So you never allow. It's not like you are here in this group, you particularly this group of students. If you are working for a consulting company that sends you on site to work with a client, or you are providing doing your job from your office from consulting company, you cannot reveal the client's name. It's one of the #1 flags for people who hiring. I've read some interview from one of the hiring managers at Google, and he was saying this interview that if I see, and they know what kind of positions are coming from vendors. Well, vendors means in this case consulting companies, and what kind of position are full time and on site completely. So they say that for them it's a red flag. It means that you cannot keep your mouth shut, and you are disclosing the client's name. Make sense? All other questions about what you can say, how you will say it, you can address to Michael or Laura. I don't know how she called herself, honestly. So after you pass your clearance. Well, am I right here? There is no the moment. Am I right? There are no the moment existing iOS simulator with virtual macOS with Xcode instead. I have no iPhone, but virtual macOS with Xcode. Okay, I honestly do not know the answer to the first part, because things are changing, and there could be some third party iOS simulators or emulators. You can just try to find it yourself. Why I do not know is because my once you start working, you're totally going to work with actual physical devices, and my part here is to share as much as I know or as much as I can during the time constraints around what you're going to work with and what they're going to ask you during the interview. And that's why I do not have the answer to this question. I do not want to call it cheating. I do not want to call it performing. And don't put me in a position that that will make me never talk about these things again. Okay? Thank you. Let's move on to our conversation. So I'm going to go back to our document about location, network, and configuration. And in this document, configuration part was actually the first part. And this is going to lead us to discussion about multiple configuration changes, but one of those would be, I want to ask you, why do you think the interruption testing is important when we talk about mobile application testing? So we're receiving answers such as, for example, incoming calls can kill the app. For testing the functionality, well, it depends. If your app actually has any functionality for calling, then yes. But if your app is not like looking bus, you cannot call with looking bus, right? We still want to test some sort of interruption, how our app behaves under different circumstances. And the interruption is one of those possible circumstances that our app can run into. In this case, we're no longer testing the functionality. It's no longer functional testing. It is because we're testing behavior of the app. And in this case, we're talking about non-functional testing. So non-functional is when we testing the appearance, like UI, or somehow participate in user experience testing, in usability testing, and that also not functional ones. And this one from the map that we've seen last time, a lot of them are not functional testing, and we covered most of them. So yeah, so basically, and it is something that is it applicable to web-based application testing? If yes, so how? How it can be applicable? I am shopping at Amazon.com on my Chrome browser. This moment, Tatiana calls me on Skype. Does it somehow interrupt my shopping experience at Amazon.com? Besides, it's just my attention is taking away from Amazon to Skype. Well, yeah, so internet, yes. So we can speak about the internet, that's yes, but anything other than connection, then I don't think so. There is no way, well, unless you, I don't know, unless something pops up, there is no way that you can get interrupted here. When I'm currently not talking about the phone. I'm talking about the web browser on my computer. So I'm on my Chrome for macOS, shopping at Amazon.com, and Tatiana called me on Skype. So basically, even though it's still same screen that I'm looking at, there is no well, yeah, it shouldn't affect because there is no direct interaction. I'm in a browser. Browser is one application, one desktop app, right? So, and then Skype is my other desktop app. They are not conflicting with one another, and one is not shutting down the other. I can still, if I am good in multitasking, I can speak over the Skype with Tatiana. In the meantime, keep shopping, or can ask for some advices from her. I can do the same sort of a thing in the app, in my mobile phone, but only one app can be interactive, and only one app is accessible to the user in terms of interaction. I cannot interact with two apps at the same time. Even if I have split screen functionality on my phone and I see two screens, still I am interacting only with one. Only one is active. Only one is really on the foreground as of the moment. So why it's crucial to do in this interruption testing in the application, or even in general test. For example, you are working with Looking Bass, and then as you work with Looking Bass, you, for instance, you open Looking Bass, you enter some sort of information inside your login info. For example, I'm going to enter tat.com and then some dummy password. So I have entered my information. What I want to make sure to do as a tester is to send it to the background from here. Come on, go to the home screen. Send it to the background, and then after that, bring it back and make sure that nothing got lost here on my sign-in page, because it could happen. So we are going to again use the dice roller, another version of dice roller tonight for the demo, and where you can find it, this version. So we had one with Crash, we had one with A&R log, we had one with Crash, we had one with A&R log, and now we are going to get another one that doesn't have any issues. Well, it does have an issue, of course. Of course, it does have an issue, but not any visible issues. Not something that you might be noticing because you just do not know where to look for. So it is again in our Looking Bass APK channel, which basically has all APK files that we need. And this particular one called app-dice-logs APK. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes, like a couple of minutes. If you would like, you can download it now and be with me when I'm going to be demoing you some issues that are here that is related to our app being interrupted by a few things that not even phone calls. It's just interrupted within its life cycle. So can you just give me plus minus if you want to download it now and put it on your Android device. Okay, so 2 minutes for downloading and putting on Android device. You are not prohibited from drag and dropping to your emulator or to your physical device. So if you on a physical device, you know that's the cheating. On your physical device, if you have Skype or Slack installed, then you can just go to Looking Bass APK channel, tap app-dice-logs APK, and it is going to get downloaded to your Android device. It might be asking you if you do not mind doing that, but in general, you can just access it from here. And while we are doing that, I'm going to open up a couple of links that I'm going to refer during this conversation. Scroll up to, please scroll up, looking bus APK, and it is Monday, March 29th. So you need to scroll up. It is basically a second post from me that was here. Alex, I do not know if I can control F in Slack. And what? Let me do this. I can, if you prefer, I can do what? I can share this file, reshare this file in general to save you time. And that's the wrong file, of course. Shame on me. Give me one moment. Delete message. Alex, if you explain what do we achieve if Control V works, I can try to do so. Share file. General. Share. And I can, I don't know. Oh, okay. Okay. Control F is searching. I see. Well, you honestly, Control F is not the best because Control F will just look within a channel, I guess. Cool. So I hope that we're ready because. So when we speak about configuration changes, one of the configuration changes could be the turning our phone into landscape mode and test the landscape our application in the landscape mode versus portrait mode. Can you share any idea? No, it's different, Victor. I don't know where did you take this one. So can you share, please, with me, why do you think we also need to test our application in a different modes, like portrait versus landscape? Why should we change the orientation? Scaling, layout, agree, because it might just not, if it's not using the proper layout approach, then it's likely to actually, not looking great in the particular mode, like versus landscape versus portrait. And by the way, one of you have filed the issue in Jira against Looking Bus for not supporting landscape mode. I want to tell it's not the bug because not every app supports landscape mode for the reason they just decide not to. We don't want to support. We do not see any benefit of supporting landscape mode. So the whole app application might not support landscape mode, or the whole app might not support portrait mode, and or some of the screens are supporting both orientations when the rest of the screens are not, just stick with one. So, for example, if we have an application that does not support, that might not support a landscape mode anywhere but on that screen where you can play video, and playing video usually is more convenient in landscape mode versus portrait mode, so that would be the only screen that does support it. So if you are not sure, you might want to check with your product owner or your peers who are working longer on this application. You can check, do we support any like landscape versus portrait mode, or we stick with something that is just one. For instance, Looking Bus has a different app. Like we are working on the rider side application, but there is also a driver side app, and driver side only supports landscape mode because it intends to be working on tablets, and for the driver it's better and more convenient to see the map in the landscape mode. So they just lock it down to landscape mode, and that's it. So dice roller. So even if you're on emulator, and mine is going to you're looking very ugly, and it's not actually the bug that I want to show you, but I'm very sure that one of you will see this bug, and if not, I will explain what it is. So we are Dice Roller. Dice Roller does support Dice Roller does support landscape mode as well. Just if you on emulator, make sure that if you scroll down in the settings in emulator, you can enable this auto rotate mode here. So otherwise, your emulator is just stick with one mode, no auto rotation. And of course, if you're on physical device, also make sure that your device currently is supporting auto rotation, and so that you can actually see this issue that I'm going to show you. So I tap roll, and I have my dice on the screen. And now, thanks to our emulator, it also can help us with testing in a different position and with the different rotations. I'm going to put my emulator in the landscape mode. What is our expected result? Before I did it, what are our expected results? I know you're already doing this without, sorry. Dice stays on the screen, and Dmitry is smiling. Dmitry, can you record the video and share the video in general? So we would expect from the UI standpoint that is, even if you're on, okay, you're on a physical device. Okay, your physical device, yes. So even if dice stays in place, first of all, I'm going to rotate my screen. I would expect that my dice is in the middle of the screen still. My roll button is still here, accessible. Dmitry, you did not enable auto rotation, I'm very sure. Because if you did, it should switch the mode. So once again, pull down here, and if you unfold it like this, there is auto rotate. Zaur recorded video. Let's see. Hop. So what just happened? I'm going to replay it again. Okay, let me show you what's going to happen on mine, but mine is even uglier. Mine is just going to lose all its UI beauty. So I rolled it. I'm going to rotate it. So mine does that, but I think it's not my app problem. It's an emulator problem somehow. In any case, it's still a bug, and it's not looking great. I will just go ahead and file a bug report because I have sort of two screens in one. One is in a landscape mode, trying to fit with the one that stayed in a portrait mode. And again, I think that this is my emulator problem and not the dice roller issue. But I'm going to replay the video that Zaur shared with us because this is actually the bug that I would anticipate to show you. So with tap roll button, we have a dice. We're going to rotate it. Rotating, and then 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Where is our dice? Where is my dice? He is just gone. Yeah, it's gone. Also, dice left us. So also another example around the same issue, the same root cause for this particular bug is that I'm going to tap roll again. So you see 6 here, and then if I go ahead and put my app in the list of recent applications, like this. A lot of fonts, and I mean Android fonts, I think it started from Android 8 or 9, I think 8. They do support or split screen or multi-screen option. It depends on what your device is, what the vendor is, and how they call it. But they do support split screen, which means that I'm going to use it. And this is my dice roller now on top. and this is looking bus here. So I can sort of share a screen between two apps. But again, as I said, only one will be in focus. And again, when I am in a split screen, oh, we just found a bug in a looking bus as well. When I'm in a split screen, when I change change my presence for the app from being on the foreground to send it to the background and then pull it into split screen, my dice disappeared again. But I like that we also find if we see this bug with looking bus. So I'm going to go to looking bus now. If I will be able to again. Так, 1 second. Looking bus. Open up. Okay. Так, I'm going to. Sorry. Challenges with working with emulators, right? I'm going to close my dice roller for a moment. I like this one. Why not? So okay, looking bus. Let's just take a close look at looking bus. Remember me entering t@t.com and then my dummy password, and I showed you how I send it to background and then bring it back to the foreground, and then my information was still there. So we're going to repeat it with a split screen. So split screen. And I'm going to now share the screen with my dice roller. Do you see, where is my information? Where is my email and password? Why it's gone? Things are getting gone here tonight. Zaur, you can do a roll here, but if you will take the whole screen back again, like stop splitting this, it's gonna be gone again. Oi, looking bus has stopped. Such a surprise. But okay, Victor, it's getting reset. So is it our expected result? Or we would expect our progress to stay with us. So I don't think in looking bus. If there are some cases for security, I agree, but I mean, in some applications do not want to really show anyone any sensitive information when they are leaving the foreground. But in this particular case, okay, it's either then it should not show me the email when it's already in the list of recent apps, or if it shows that me there, then it should show me the email. It should not lose my email in a split screen mode. It's not expected. We want our dice to be with us. So why is it happening? And understanding why is it happening will give you a good idea. And now you also know that, well, we're talking about Android now. In Android application, my emulator freezing, I already started in calls like that. We leave it for now because we're not going to do anything with dice roller as of the moment, or you can just jump in because I don't know how to help you, honestly. If you restarted it and it doesn't work, or it's still freezing, I do not know how to help as of the moment. So dice roller, memory issues, I don't know. Let's focus, let's get back. So we are specifically talking about Android applications because that could be the problem with any Android layer app that is supporting multi-screen or supporting a landscape mode, or even if it doesn't support it, as I showed you in Looking Bus, for example, we want to make sure that if I send it back to the back, send it from the foreground and bring it back, it does not lose unless this is a requirement not to keep information. It should not lose my user progress in the application. And so why is it happening in Android and why we should pay attention to that? So it's not only UI, it's more than UI now. We are testing something that called implementation of activity. Well, what is activity? Activity is basically almost every screen in Android application is activity. Some screens are fragments, but it doesn't really matter. So the activity is a name, not a name. Okay, activity is very similar to what we to a screen itself. So we are now looking at dice roller's main activity or main screen. Dice roller has no others, so it's simpler here, and we don't care much. For example, in Looking Bus, we might have reservation screens, but if you check the code, probably it's called reservation activity class. So doesn't matter much for us, but what just activity is a screen, or screen is activity. Not every screen is activity. It could be something smaller, but I don't know if I'm making this any clear. In any case, activity lifecycle. What is this? Let's go to Android's Android's documentation. So Android tells developer that it's very important to understand the activity lifecycle because if you are not handling this properly, it could cause multiple issues inside your application. So they say, for example, good implementation of the lifecycle callback, whatever it means for us, help ensure that your app avoids. Okay, let's turn it to the testing side. What could happen to our app if it doesn't, if my screen lifecycle not implemented in a good fashion? So my application can crash if the user receives a phone call or switches to another app while using your application. So my application. So basically, we are doing that. We're doing this interruption testing, and we interrupt our app by our own actions because we send it to the background from the foreground. We bring it back. We change the orientation. We go into multi Windows screen and back. So we are interrupting our application flow here. Or as here's an example, our app might be interrupted by other app unintentionally. So it's not me who is switching between apps. It's somebody calling me, and when it happened, instead of my app, the call application or a phone application is taking the foreground, and my app is just pushed back for a moment. And also, if our developers are not implementing that in a good manner, then it could consume some resources still, and for that operating system can kill our app to free up those resources. So not something that we can visibly see as from the black box perspective, but again, if I send my app to the background, and if my activity, my screen lifecycle was not implemented in a good way, while my app is on the background, while I am accepting the call from Tatiana, for example, and once we're done talking, I end the call, my app would never come back because it might get killed in the meantime. And also something that just happened to us in Looking Bus and in the dice roller, losing the user's progress if they leave your app and then return to it in a later time. Well, it didn't lose the progress because I leave the app and return to it in the later time, but it did lose the progress because I've changed something else. Crashing or losing the user progress when the screen rotates between landscape and portrait mode. So even Android, developer.android.com, official web source for Android developers, are saying these things, guys, can happen to your app if you are not implementing your screen lifecycle in a good fashion. And then they explain how to implement it and blah, blah, blah. Well, there is the chart that explains basically what happens with your screen. You as a user will do not notice that because it happens within like matter of seconds or fraction of the seconds. But from the moment I tap button, tap the icon on my home screen on my phone, I tap the app And to start it, my screen goes through multiple life cycles already before I can see it and interact with it. So to me, it's just like fraction of a second, but for the screen, it's a life cycle, a half of a life cycle. And then if I send it to the background, it also goes to some other life cycle milestones, and eventually it gets destroyed. So just by looking at this particular flow, it's not that easy to understand what the life cycle, and we maybe don't even need to know it in details, but it will help you to understand when our dice roller lost its progress, and why it happened, and what should have been done in order for that not be happening. So I'm going to open up my dice roller again. And at the same time, I'm going to open up my terminal and make it bigger so that we can see it. I will use ADBLogCat to help us to see these life cycles in action using looking bus, so that we can figure where, at what moment, this guy is losing progress. So I'm going to say ADBLogCat, but if I go like that, I'm going to say -C to clear it first. If I'm going to go just with ADBLogCat, if you ever see failed to clear, just rerun it again, and that's it. I really want to just focus on that life cycle, and because I wanted that, I have added some logs into this app in the code, and I want to only see those logs. So I believe it's going to be ADBLogCat. I'm going to watch all logs with priority I info, and the tag was roll dice. How do I know? It is because I have added this logging into the app. And I want, how do I want to shut down the rest? If I go like that, it's not gonna just show me what I want to see. How can I shut down the rest? With priority silence how, right? Yes, so it's gonna be star sense. Okay, what do I made a mistake here. What should I do? How it's supposed to be looking? The tag name should go first. It goes after priority in the logcat output, and that's why I always do it. So I want every other text to stay silent. So I'm going to go like that. I'm going to hit return. So it is not printing anything white. We remember ADBLogCat is crazy. As soon as you started, it's printing a lot. Why it's not printing anything as of now? Because I actually do not do anything yet with my app, right? So no event that I've chosen. So you just saw me closing my application, and I have 3 entries in my ADBLogCat. So you've seen me how I put my app to the background, to the app switcher, and then swipe up to close it. Oh, unfortunately, I cannot see everything on the same screen. Let me try to move it like this. And so let me start looking. Let me start dice roller again. So please watch the screen. ADBLogCat output. So I'm starting my application again. And as I started my app, it went through the 3 milestones. So it on create, on start, on resume. So what does it even mean? So every time, as I said, we start the application and we go from screen to screen. Every screen leaves its life cycle. It is on resume. When it's on resume, it means I can interact with my application. I can send some input and see the results of my action. And things like that. So it's only possible in on resume state. So when I was turning on. So let me stop for a moment, Control C, and then ADB log cut clear, and then I'm going to swipe it up again so that we can start from the beginning. Didn't clear. So I cleared before I closed it. Anyway, so let's start it again then. Starting with our dice roller app. Dice roller, we started, the screen got created, the screen got started, and the screen is on resume state, which means I as a user can interact with that. It is perfectly normal. Like I've done my playing here, and I want to close my application so that my screen gets destroyed. So I'm going to close it. So it went on pause and on stop. It's not yet dead. If I bring it back, it will resume. Okay. So, but I want to kill it. So I'm going to close my app completely. So my screen got destroyed. So on destroyed got executed. Is our expected result when I restart my looking bus, I close the app completely. Do you expect when I reopen it, should it have dice roller or it should not have dice roller? If I, as a user, done with everything, and I close my application, should it keep my progress? No, it should not. And that's exactly what's happening with my dice roller. So one more time, I'm going to clear the log actually and restart it. So that's expected result, and it's something that I thanks to me, thanks That's something that I actually was able to achieve, and I don't have any issues. If I start my dice roller again, it doesn't have my roll button or my dice from my previous session. So this is my expected result. And why is that? Why my progress is gone? Because I completely destroyed my screen, and I did not mean to save any of my progress. Okay, my question is, if it's not dice roller, if it is Angry Birds Star Wars game, and I completely close my application, next time I reopen it, where my score is gone forever, or it's still there? Yeah, it should be there. Well, maybe they pull it from the back end, but some things are still saved on the client side. So it depends on the application. If we want to allow to have fresh beginning every time, or if we want to keep the progress of the user, even if the user completely closed the application and doesn't open it for a couple of days. So I am now here on my portrait mode in my dice roller in the middle of the screen's life cycle, on resume, blossing, blah blah blah. I'm going to use rotation here. Do you see how, so I was on resume with you. Do you remember? We had only 3 lines, on create, on start, on resume, before I used my rotation. Do you remember? And then what happened? I used rotation, and my app rotate. Well, no, unfortunately, it does destroy on rotation. So this is the trick with Android. When you rotate your application, even though as a user you think you are looking at the same screen, it is no longer the same screen. It gets completely recreated, and it is normal. It is how Android activities life cycle is implemented. But it's our choice if we want to save the progress in this case, or we want to let it go. So we know that we got rotated. So we should have saved the progress or pull it back afterwards. Does it make sense? So what happened when before I used rotation, we were on resume. I tap rotate I click rotate. We see destroyed. We was there. then it was paused, stopped, and destroyed. And once it got reopened, sort of a thing, not reopened, recreated in the landscape mode, we again see on create, on start, and on resume. Does it make sense? So to sum up, like long story short, in Android, when you rotate your application, or if you go to the multi-screen mode, your screen gets destroyed and recreated without you as a user noticing that, or should be able to notice anything. But it's just how the Android system works. And so that's exactly why it is super important for us as a testers to check the scenarios, because even if your app is not supporting landscape mode, it doesn't mean it doesn't support multi-screen mode. Figure out what it does support, and first thing you're gonna do when you come to work, impossibly, I did not have destroy a log on rotating. I want, if you don't have to do it now, but if you later can record a video of your screen, of your computer screen with your device and log had been printing, I can see it. Before that, I'm like Stanislavski. Don't believe it. Yeah, and yeah, it might be that your screen wasn't rotated. Okay, so first thing you're gonna do when you come to your work, not first, okay, second, first thing you're gonna do exploratory testing, getting familiar with the application, blah, blah, blah. But once you are done with that part, go and check your Android version in terms of activity lifecycle. Go in and try to rotate your application. Go and try to send your app into multi-screen and bring it back from the multi-screen. If your app accepts any input, such as looking bus, accept login information, enter something inside those input fields, send your app to the multi-screen mode, or if it supports rotation, rotate it, and I almost guarantee you're gonna find some issues. So issues. It's not my app. I found it on this example on the internet, but I want to use it here to prove the same point. So in this example, so we are entering something in two fields, and then the user rotates the app, and phone number is gone. So it's very common. It's very common issue. Well, maybe I would say maybe with rotation, developers already learned their lesson, but with multi-screen, that most likely to happen. And let me just quickly show you the life cycle of our dice roller when I use multi-screen. So I'm going to rotate it back, and I'm going to do what? I'm going to bring back my terminal. I'm going to stop current ADBLookAt session. I'm going to say Control-C, and I'm going to rerun my command for watching our application. So we currently in our portrait mode. We don't have any logs because it was closed, so it was already on resume. No new activity life cycles so far, but I'm going to send it to the list of my recent apps. And at that moment, my dice roller paused and stopped. Some apps lose progress even there. So play with this as well. Now you know that that when you see your app like that, you sort of see it, but you cannot interact with that. In this moment, it paused and stopped, whatever. So let's see if I use a split screen. Watch my logs on the left. I'm going to the split screen. And what just happened? My activity, my screen got destroyed, and then it got created, started, resumed, and it immediately paused because Why it's paused? Because even though I see it, I cannot interact with that. Is paused by the by its life cycle. If I pull it down like that, if I open it again, it after it paused, it stopped, destroyed, and got recreated again. Long story short, when you have your dice roller, you have this command. You can play around with dice roller to better understand the Android activity life cycle, to better understand where with every change in the life cycle we might have some issues. So you can better understand what destroys the application, what does not destroy the application. If somebody calls me, if it's going to destroy my app or it's going to just stop my app, I'm not going to give you an answer. You can figure yourself. You can call your emulator and see what's going to happen. You can call your device and see what's going to happen. Phone does not understand it for sure. We are not talking about phone in general at all. Phone is just a hardware part, and it's a good question that I'm trying to answer it now. So basically, it is how it's supposed to be. How does it talk? Okay. So first of all, when it's destroyed, we don't have it up and running, and if we run ADB-locate, our process is no longer, if it's destroyed, like we close it, it's no longer running. In this case, we sort of recreating ourselves right away, so I don't think we even stop working for a moment at all. And what do you mean how the app? So I would say how the app understands. So how the app understands, how developer should know if at this moment he should save something or not. So it's not the phone, I would say. I would say it would be a more clear question if we ask how the app understands that it was destroyed, etc., etc. It understands so because all those callbacks. So whatever you see here, pause, stop, blah blah blah, it is happening inside our applications. Once you as a developer create your activity, your screen, all those guys, all those life cycle players or milestones, they are inherited. It is a little bit of the project object-oriented programming thing, but every screen that you create extends one of the interfaces, and those are not in classes. So it extends something from which we created that, and because it extends something from which we created it, we have all those milestones, all those methods, all those functions available to us. We do not have to implement that. So our application receives those signals, and it knows that if the user tap the home button, for example, what it does, it closes the application. So our app will go and go through the two steps of the life cycle. We'll go and get paused, and now after that it's going to get stopped, and then we might kill it or might bring it back and wake it up. So those activity life cycle within the app, all those methods on create, on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, on destroy, on restart, they all a part of our application by default. Once I create an application, the moment I create the first activity, my screen has an ability to understand that. In even better homework, let's not wait until our time when we show up in the office and start testing our app. Try any applications. Try any applications that you have that you use frequently, including Looking Bus. Something that is maybe not Facebook or Instagram, because I'm hoping they have developers who did implement the activity lifecycle correctly. So if you put your app like that, if you see it in the app switcher, I just tap the app icon, and I can use split screen. but this is my emulator. It could be different on your device, or it could be different on a different emulator, on a different Android version. So just to wrap it up briefly, do you have any questions? So, and why are you asking your question? So basically, just remember, if you test Android application, you are not only testing it in terms of how your UI will be looking in the landscape mode, you are also making sure that you are not losing the progress, because you might lose the progress if developer did not implement something that called, and you have it here. If you're curious, you can read about that. So there are things on restored instance state, and there is a whole tutorial that teaches developers, you guys, when you when you work on your app, don't forget that there is activity lifecycle, and don't forget that you need to save the current state of activity before it goes anywhere from resume. You have to save it, and after that, don't forget to restore it. So, but you can read about it later. And what other things can be a problem for us is that multi-window, language input. So things like changing the language input on the phone can cause you application problems. I don't see why, honestly, myself. But again, you can, maybe because I forgot when I read it last time. So in your notes, of course, you have this link. And this link explains where to pay attention to. Handling multi-window cases, and then activity or dialog appears in the foreground. Again, something like you receive the notifications of some sort. And then user taps back button. On an Android device, there is still back buttons. They might be physical buttons, or they might be not physical buttons that we can use in order to completely close the app. And they also say that you have to save. If you want to restore it after, you have to save the current state, and don't forget to restore it, because if your system will go crazy in crazy deficit on resources, it can kill your app anyway. Foreground, background doesn't matter, so it just can kill your app. But usually it might happen, it's more likely to happen when your app is on a background. So your app is on a background, some other application needs a lot of memory or some additional memory. The system would have no choice but kill your app to free up memory, because devices still have some limited resources. So, and if you can find something in the app you do, that would be great. If you don't, just remember when you remember about this. Remember about this when you work on your app, when you test it. When this particular, how do I knew the title of my tag? I knew it because I have edited. Your developer may add additional logging. So anything that he or she wants to see in the ADB log cat output when they debug the application, they can just add logs to the work. And for example, how do we know why it's printing on start, on resume, and blah blah blah? Because this is my main activity. Let me pull it down. This is Dice Roller application. It only has one screen. It only has one activity, which is main activity. And there is not that much of a code here. So basically, when I launch my app, when it gets created, there's something happening. We're creating the button. We pull assets for this button, so how it's supposed to be looking. Sorry, my processes are running. And then what I did at the end is I said log.I, priority I defined the priority. And I said, I want, print log tag, which is a roll dice, and print a statement on create. So this is what we see here, on create. And similarly, your developers adding logs, of course, to the application. When they want to see some extra piece of information for debugging, they will add some additional logging in the app. Some logs are not coming from your app, from your developers. Some are not coming from your developers. For example, if you have a lock with priority E, which is error, and your app has crashed, it's definitely not coming from developer. It's a different thing reporting. It's Android runtime reporting. But as I said, your developers can add additional logging to your application. Terminate. So please try it. Please play with Dice Roller and ADB being open. Please try some other apps. As I said, preferably the ones that are not that solid and there's no, I don't know how many, 2,100 people, 200,000 people working on this application. Something smaller. And again, besides all that, somebody can call you, somebody, you are changing the app life cycle, you are playing the role in the app life cycle. There are some other things that you might want to remember about when you test your applications. It is anything that as simple as, for example, you are plugging in your phone in the charger, or you unplugging your phone from the charger. You are inserting headphones. If your application is using sound anyhow, like you are working for the app that is, I don't know, Spotify, for instance. And you definitely want to check when you're inserting and ejecting your headphones, because this is a configuration change to the phone, and your app should listen to that. So at some moment of my life, I know it sounds weird. It sounds like, okay, my phone should know about that, right? So why should I check insertion of headphones and things like that? Or you even want to check how your app is acting when you add volume or decrease volume, because it is configuration change to your phone and your app should listen. At some moment, I was working on the application where you earn points, and we will see this app during session 11. So you earn points, and once you earn them, there is a ka-ching sound, like money goes inside the register. So like this zing sound, and it's like indicates that you earn some points. So on top of what you see visually, you also can hear this ka-ching sound. And there was a bug where if I put the phone into the silent mode, I do not hear anything else in the app, but ka-ching sound was still there because it did not listen to configuration and changes to the phone. So, and you can even ask your developer, and it's okay to ask such a thing. You can ask, so what would you suggest me behavioral wise, like in terms of non-functional testing? What would you suggest me to check? What should I pay attention to in terms of changes made to the phone, to configuration changes? Does it make any changes in our app if I'm charging my phone versus not charging my phone? Well, if you work on something like Looking Bus, probably not. But if you work on something like games, it might change the way your graphic gets rendered. I never work on games, do not know how graphic gets rendered, but know from people who work with games, they say, yes, we have to check it with being plugged in, plugged out, and it has something to do with how they render the graphic. If you phone in a low battery mode, then they should listen to that, and they should adjust. Otherwise, they will either kill themselves or kill drain your battery completely. So they might, I don't know, might reduce some parameters and how they present the picture to you, for instance. Make sense? Because we are going to switch to a different topic completely, because what we've been discussing is something from our previous one. So As you think about your project, now as we sort of completed discussion on the what other tools and what extra scenarios, tonight we completed discussions on extra scenarios and other tools. The only thing I'm asking you not to list, because if you go on Google, hey Google, I want to know a list of interruptions and interruption tests or interruption test scenarios. If you see and you still will see this, don't include it to your story when, as an example of interruption testing, removing the battery. You will see it a lot because this was written maybe, I don't know how many years ago, 10, less than 10, 9, 8, where phone batteries still were removable. Now, if you have your device, can you remove your battery? I don't think so. I mean, depending on device, but most likely no. So never ever include it into your story. Other than that, as we finish the discussion, the idea of dice roller here was for me to show you how what kind of stages in the app life cycle we'll go through, and that's why I added those logs so that we can have this printed, because otherwise it would be near to impossible. I know it even now it's confusing, but without these logs it would be near to impossible to explain activity life cycle and or screen life cycle for Android application. Make sense? You will, working in a Google, will not watch activity life cycle, or trying Google out will not watch activity life cycle. Just using dice roller as an example, you will figure out every other app will go through the same stages. They are predefined. So it's not like somebody is writing this activity life cycle. For every screen has the same activity life cycle, because this is the behavior that is this is here already. So see how I have my class name, main activity. What does it mean after that? It means it extends. This column means extend. In Java, I would write extend. Extends, actually. Keyword will be extends. The app compat activity. So Android team, Android operating system, and for Android development, they already, when they defined how it should be, what would be the app architecture, they created this superclass app compatibility activity. If I want to create my my screen, my activity, I should extend it. I should be a baby of this superclass. Make sense? And if I am a baby of the superclass, I am by default have these abilities to be created, started, resumed, stopped, paused, destroyed, etc. This is the one of the pillar of object-oriented programming. I do not have to create anything if I inherit or extend from my parent class. And this is my parent class that was implemented by Android team. So they give it to me. Tanya, use it. Create your babies after this from this class, and you will be able to be created, to be started, to be resumed, etc., etc. So I know that you are in the middle of what you are learning, and I don't know how deep you're going to be covering any sort of inheritance in your automation class, but this is something that is that you will definitely know when, if not yet, when you will be taking any programming classes, and they will eventually start talking about object-oriented principles, and that is going to be clear for you for sure. No, you don't have to do anything. It's just you don't need to do anything with this particular code. I'm just trying to explain where things are, because there was a question where the logs are coming from. So we went inside the code. Once we're inside the code, you also have a question how my app does know that it should go through particular stages, and I was trying to explain how does it know. It's like I'm a human. I was born from my mama, papa, and Adam and Eva at some point. So basically, there are some abilities that I have by default because I'm a human, and I was born a human, and because I'm from the human class, even though I'm Tanya, some things I inherited from my parent class, from being human. Let's move on. Yeah, basically, as if you as QA will mention anything, if you read about that and will feel like, okay, I understand what it's about. If you will be including in your story, well, I have also did some interaction testing for my application, including rotating the screen, because as we know that in Android app that could cause the crash due to some issues with activity lifecycle. I think you're gonna kill everyone right here. Let's move on. You can try it out. You can. We still have another session, or we still have Slack. We can continue the discussion in Slack. You should not be shocked with the code because it's not going to be like it's not going to be something that you're going to take, be looking at from the day one, and maybe I don't know for a couple of years or whatever. It is okay. But I hope you will, because you're gonna go to and take some programming courses. And I'm talking to everyone. Not to be a programmer, not to be a developer, but to understand how things work. Because if you understand how things work, or have an idea at least, then it's easier for you to test. I'm going to move on. And we can continue the discussion if you have time after, or if on Slack or next time. Because we need to talk about accessibility, and I have to show you a couple of tools. So why is, like, again, can you tell me, do you have any idea what is accessibility testing, what we are trying to achieve, what we are looking for, and what is our expected behavior? What is accessibility in general? If we speak about accessibility, I can think of, okay, so my boss should be the one that can the ability to move down very low, so that the person with who cannot walk and using special equipment, they can easily get on the bus. This is accessibility example. Or we have in the public bathrooms, at least one cabin should be dedicated to that should be bigger in size, so that the people with disability can get into this and use the bathroom and stuff like that, etc., etc. But we, in our case, talking about accessibility of the software, not just things around us that in the United States of America improved significantly after in 1990 there was a special law introduced where this compliance with and making sure that people with disability can access your services was in progress, put in place. Access the device or application in a different ways, I agree. To make sure people with special needs still can use our products, still can use in our case, people with special needs can still use our piece of software. If we're talking about web-based application, desktop application, or mobile application, doesn't really matter. They should be able to access our software, and otherwise we might be in trouble. And otherwise, it's just not very, human way of operating your business if you do not care about. Let me show you about what percentage of people in the United States. So what we're seeing here is the official data from cdc.gov website. 1 of 4 adults in the United States of America have some sort of disability. And as you can see that, yes, so mobility is one of the most common issues, but this is actually very scary cognitive issues and serious difficulties concentrating, remembering, or making decisions. Well, that sounds very scary. But it means that when we develop our app, so at first it's things like, okay, nothing to do with my application. It's nothing, it has nothing to do with my app, but it does have to do with your app. You have to make sure that inside your application, you are using familiar language. Your language is fairly simple. Your point is very much straight to the point. Your navigation within the app is very intuitive and should not make me think, okay, so should I go this direction or this direction? Everything should be as easy to achieve as possible. And so that way you are taking care about this 10.8% of the US population. People with mobility, what does it mean for us, for the app? Well, there are people who cannot type anything in my text field that I have created inside my app or on my web-based application. It means that I should support if the way that if my user prefer to dictate, like using this microphone button, I should be able to support this kind of input as well. Make sense? Because these people are having difficulties. Well, I mean, I don't think it's only that. Maybe it includes more than that. But even if it doesn't, it's still, we know that there are people who cannot type things, right? So, well, then this is not, we cannot help much, I guess. Well, I'm actually working on one app that is actually helping doing that. And then we have this inability to hear, inability or difficulties to hear. So what does it mean to us as an application? I'm an app that produces some sort of sound. How can I help these people? So we sort of trying to cover. So here should be very much intuitive, easy with easy language and things like that. Should think about people who cannot enter information with their hands or perform other tasks with their hands, which means that I should be able to give them an ability to navigate somehow. I don't know. Independent living with skipping. How can I help people who have hearing problems and make sure it's accessible to them? Max is typing, Dimitri is typing. The other people are typing 4-5. Visual instructions. Or something that I know you use when you rewatch my sessions, because I still speak too fast. And some of the students are using, they're slowing down the video, I know that, but you're also using those subtitles, yes. So basically, yeah, you're using this. And if you are the application that is producing, showing a sort of video, or producing any sort of sound, like you have voice instructions. Well, make sure that besides voice instructions, you have those visual instructions, as Dmitry pointed out. So if you ask me to do something, then, well, show me, have this text on the screen somewhere as well. Vibration or notification, agree. Good point, I like it. Then if we have vision problems, that's, the most obvious and still not every app can be defined as, well, we really did take care of those people. So how do you know any tools? Have you heard about any tools that are helping people who cannot see? Voice notification, Siri, voice navigation, contracts are like that Olga brought it up, because having visual impediments, it's not only being completely blind. Some people are color blinded, and some people just, there would be conditions where if you do not have enough contrast in your app between background and text, they just won't be able to see anything. Well, it doesn't have to be large by default, Camila, but I agree with you that your app should be handling well when the user is changing font size. I can change font size in my app settings or in my font settings to be large so that I can see well. And I try it yourself tonight, and you will find out that more than half of the app you have does not handle this scenario very well. They do not adjust the layout. The text can be spread out all over the screen or just being not visible because it doesn't fit, because they are not readjusting, reposition elements and readjusting layout in accordance to those changes. So yeah, marks at the keyboard, flashing notifications, agree. And also there are a couple of tools that blind people or people with difficulties with vision of some sort, they are using, and they are available with every iPhone or Android device. Otherwise, Android or Apple would be sued very much for that. But it's not only, I think they do it for a different reason, not just not being sued, but to help users to use the technologies and applications on those technologies. And we are going to see those tools in action tonight. Where's my? Here it is. We're going to see those in actions. And if you have an iOS device, let me find my iOS device that I need for the demonstration. I found it. So if you are an iPhone device owner, you have it already in your settings the moment you receive your phone. It's called VoiceOver, and you can find it. Or you have an easier option. And if you're an Android user, you might have it already, and you can search it up in settings, or you might need to download it, install it from Play Store to your device. That's called Talkback. Basically, VoiceOver and Talkback, both those names are self-descriptive. You don't have to try to figure out what I just said and in terms of what the app name, because you have it in the notes, tools for Android and iOS. Android Talkback, check Play Store. You will see Talkback in action tonight as well. And some other tool that I will explain a little bit later. And for iOS, VoiceOver is already on your device, on your iPhone. You just need to go to settings and find it. And Accessibility Inspector is not something that on your phone. It's a tool that I'm going to use to show you that is intended for testing of accessibility as well. So our users are using Talkback and VoiceOver. The job of these two helpers is to read labels, read what they, I want to say what they see on the screen, but apparently what they do not see on the screen, because they do not see any screen here. And let's start with the VoiceOver and iOS application. So I'm going to start sharing my, I'm going to start sharing the screen of my iPhone. iPhone users, you are lucky if you have Siri, because Siri is the one that can turn VoiceOver and turn off VoiceOver for you if you ask, because it is a little bit tricky to turn it off when you're in VoiceOver mode. It takes practice to navigate your phone when VoiceOver is on. Be careful. So really, I would suggest to, before you go and start it, to watch a tutorial that will explain to you how you navigate within your phone when your voiceover is on, because apparently our normal movements no longer work the same way. How we can switch between apps and things like that. So before you start, before you go, please, tutorials on YouTube, and they're very short usually. So they will just show you, okay, if you want to go within the screen, that's how you do it. If you want to do this and that, that's how you do it. So we are looking at my device screen, and in our Android iPhones, where we can find, I don't even remember where I can find, because okay, so we have accessibility option, and here you have voiceover, and everybody who does have an iOS device have accessibility in settings and have voiceover already there. And so you can go and turn it on and off from here, and you can vary the speed the voiceover is talking with. If you ever will see the person who actually is blind, you will be surprised. First of all, of course, the screen is completely dim. There is no point for them to have it on. So they are working with completely black screen, and they voice over on such a high speed that at first it's very difficult to understand what it says, but they so much get used to that, so it's usually, you know, in a very something like to the right. We are going to stay in the middle. So I believe there should be a tutorial right here. Navigation images, la la la. If not, as I said, just you can just go and find any on Google. It's not difficult. It's just confusing and annoying when you do it first time. And you will see it right now. What I usually do, I am very much cheating. I'm saying, hey Siri, turn on voiceover.
Okay, I turned voiceover on.
After that, I have to tell Siri to actually to switch to different app.
Settings.
Because see how I started settings.
Search field. Double tap to edit.
What I'm doing right now, I'm swiping from the left to the right, and this is something that helps me navigate from top to bottom. So I'm about to swipe.
Dictate button. Double tap to start dictation. Double tap with 2 fingers when finished.
So it gives me instructions. Thanks. So if I want to go to the previous element, I will swipe from right to left.
Search field. Double tap to edit.
And that's exactly how our blind users are navigating. They're using the swiping if they want to go down to the screen or if they want to go up to the screen. We want to check that for sure, because sometimes some apps are skipping some elements on the screen and they are not accessible to our blind user at all, because my app, for example, go to search and then skip all that part and then go to general directive. I'm just saying, for example, settings are pretty fine, I'm very sure. I want to go to looking bus. I'm just going to ask Siri to open looking bus.
Screen dimmed. Face.
Actually.
Calendar.
Yeah, because
FaceTime.
If I want to access
double tap to open.
If I want to access looking bus right now, I would have to go
calendar, phone, cam, mail, clock, map, weather, remote, no,
that's
stocks.
very long.
Double tap to open.
Okay, Siri. Open a looking bus.
Looking bus. Destination search bar. Search field. Facing on Diamond Heights Boulevard. One way. Facing Duncan. Date and time. Current user locate. Facing Duncan Street. East facing Duncan Street. Approaching Diamond. Facing Duncan Street. Facing Duncan. Approaching Diamond. Facing Duncan. Date. Facing menu. Facing Duncan. Facing Duncan Street. Facing Duncan Street. Facing Duncan Street.
Changing
Map.
back
San
and forth.
Francisco.
That's why it keeps saying so, because it's sort of moving into different directions. It cannot shut up, and it's very annoying as well. It's not user friendly. So if you feel like you are very welcome to file a bug for that part. I open up the app, and because my map is moving slightly, it also changed the direction I'm sort of looking, and my voiceover is keeps saying all the same things. So tell me where I am, but stop reacting to every move that I have, because it's in developers' power to actually to ignore some of the announcement that voiceover could make. And so basically, if I'm here, I can go to
my account. Exit button. Save button. Guest. 6 Jabet 1 and 800. First name. Text field. Double tap to edit. First name.
Here I also
text
see
field.
some issues because first it went inside the text field itself, then it went to my field title that also explained me what should I do in order to edit it. But if I do double tap on the screen, I'm not actually going anywhere. So it's also not buena. So I mean,
exit button.
What we're trying to achieve.
Face approaching Diamond Heights app switcher. Looking boss.
What we're trying to achieve when we do
settings,
this application, this type of testing. We want to make sure that every element that we have on the screen is accessible, which means that if I have a button, or if I have a text field, I have a proper label for that, so that VoiceOver can actually read this label for me and let me know if it's a button, what action I should expect of this button. So it should clearly say login button, the double tap.
Screen dim.
Double tap to activate, etc., etc. So it should say so. So I'm going to turn it off. Hey Siri.
7:41 p.m.
Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Nah, it's a different Siri. Hey Siri. Hey.
I'm not sure I understand. FaceTime.
Hey Siri.
Double tap to open.
Turn off VoiceOver.
FaceTime. Double tap to open.
Okay. Another Siri is overrated.
Settings. One new item.
Okay, I'm going to
settings.
Just go to my app.
Search. Airplane. Wi-Fi. Bluetooth. Note. Sounds. Do not disturb. Screen time. General. Display and brightness. Home screen. Accessibility. Accessibility feature. VoiceOver. Select. VoiceOver. VoiceOver off.
Okay. So VoiceOver off. Let's go back to Looking Bass. Especially Looking Bass, it's the application that was created for people with disabilities and targeting at the first place people who are blind or have visual impairments. They have to be top-notch in terms of being accessible as an application, which means that if I am a QA that is testing accessibility feature for Looking Bass, I should check my application with VoiceOver, making sure that it is navigatable. I can actually navigate with swipe from left to right and from right to left within my app, and also make sure that all my buttons are labeled properly. And it is not a problem usually with the button that does have text. Problems you can expect with the button that are image button. What does it mean, image button? What does it mean? Do you think? What is an image button? Well, yes, I understand. That's difficult, but yeah, you can imagine how people with disability who live with disabilities. So we should be grateful every day for ability to see. And every time I turn it on, I'm grateful. Yeah. So basically, like for example, in this case, this is the button that performed the search. So once I tap it, it starts searching my my destination. So this is an image button. It doesn't have any text. It's just icon placed over the button inside the code, and I cannot, my VoiceOver or Talkback, they do not see any text here, and they cannot figure out from my image because they do not see the image. what it's supposed to be doing. Plus, just by looking at this image, well, it might be, it might serve multiple purposes. This particular icon might serve multiple purposes. In this case, it's search, but it could be play and things like that. So when you test your application or when you test Looking Bus, please pay attention to all those image buttons and navigation. Also, what you pay attention when you do accessibility testing is to error messages. This is very common. I'm not going to turn on voiceover right now, but it is very common that when the user enters some insufficient input, incorrect email or password, and then hits sign in, so there would be some sort of alert in the middle of your screen. But oftentimes, the application would have this issue with switching from the app screen to that alert, which is expected behavior. Once I do this, an alert appears, then in this case, my voiceover should immediately switch from my screen to my alert and start reading me the error message. Make sense? So I'm just trying to pinpoint the common area where you can find most of these accessibility bugs: image buttons, navigation, order, and error messages inside the app. Try all those in Looking Bus, and so that's going to be, again, easier for you to speak. If you include in your story, if you include accessibility testing, you might say how you did it exactly and what kind of issues you've been facing. So didn't read error messages at all, didn't focus on error messages at all, skipped elements on the screen with this navigation gestures, or unlabeled image buttons, something like that. And this would be your purely from being as a user, like from being a user, endpoint user, purely black box accessibility testing, which is still should be performed, and maybe not very detailed, but in terms of navigation, it's the best way to check how navigatable is it, how does it look, and if it does switch to the error messages or it's not switching. Some other things you can check with the other tools that are available for us. So in our case, in this case that I'm going to show you, you need to be very lucky and have macOS and device and iOS device at the same household. So I'm going to open up Xcode, and I don't even have to select any project here because the Xcode menu is already toolbar is already available for me. So I'm just going to say Xcode, then open developer tools. This is one of the ways to start simulator, remember, but I'm not interested in simulator this time. This time I'm interested in accessibility inspector. So this is a tool that is, if you have Xcode, you have this for sure. And it looks like this. It is not only for your phone. It is also for, sorry, my device stopped mirroring. It's not only for your phone. It is also for any connected device you have. Like it could be for simulator, it could be used for simulator, for example, or it could be used on your Mac computer. So you have to first of all decide for which you are using. So to decide it, that's super weird. One second, I should see my phone here. Let me verify that it's connected. So, no, it's not because my Xcode got closed completely. 1 second, sorry. I'm going to, just in case, keep my calculator open, even though I do not need it at all. and we'll reopen my. So I'm going to go to confirm that Xcode can see my. No, I'm going to go ahead and confirm that Xcode can see my device. So I'm going to go. Yeah, it's actually can. Devices and simulators, and here's Tina's iPhone. So I'm going to go to Xcode again. Sorry, to open developer tools, accessibility inspector. This beautiful. Because some error here, like this explanation again. 1 second. Tools, accessibility inspector. Well, I'm new enough, right? Okay, let me try one more thing. If it's not gonna work, we're gonna look at some not slides, but some tutorial, I guess. I'm going to close it. I'm going to go ahead and just in case build. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go to developer tools, accessibility inspector. I might not even, if it's, I'm also thinking it could be the problem because of the app power mirror, but let's see. Accessibility inspector, where are you? Okay, I'm going to close my this application because technically we will be able to see everything without the screen being on the screen. So accessibility inspector, quit. Starting that last time, promise you. That's good. If not, I think it's because of that. The tools accessibility inspector. Okay, here we go. So no, oh, now it sees me. I think yeah, because my other app somehow was the reason for me not being able to see my phone. In any case, so an accessibility inspector, once it's open and your phone is connected via cable, you will be able to select your phone. And you know, it's very difficult to figure out what you can do just by looking at this accessibility inspector screen. But it actually, if you have your application under test, being open on your iPhone, which is I'm currently looking at sign-in screen of Looking Bus application, no target. Sorry. I don't know what's happening. Okay, let's switch to tutorial. So technically, I do not like that I cannot show it to you, and I checked before the class it was working. So technically, what you're gonna be dealing with, you can go over the tutorial on accessibility inspector, and you have it over there. It is a random tutorial. You can find something similar on YouTube and watch how it works. But basically, what it does, once you have it open, you can take a snapshot of your screen, and this accessibility inspector will run audit for you. Where the run audit button, it is over here. Audit button over here. You will be able to run audit on your screen, and then it will let you know if you have any unlabeled elements. It will say if you have any unlabeled elements, or if you have any elements that do not support dynamic text. Something that Camila mentioned, that our text can be large. It should be large, and it should support, our field should support, our buttons should support the dynamic text font sizes, so that I can change the size and my app is still looking good. It will also let you know, again, if one of the elements has no description. If you tap this search button, for example, in Looking Bus, but instead it says unlabeled button, double tap to activate. Well, it's not very helpful, right? So with this audit, you will be able to tap those I buttons, and it will tell you exactly which one is underperforming. I'll try to figure out what's going on with mine, and at least either find you a tutorial, which is visual tutorial, or well, I will find you a tutorial. We don't have time for the next time. And so that's how you can use the help of Accessibility Inspector. So it's still black box to gray box testing, because you are not seeing the source code, but you are no longer looking at the looking glass screen itself. You are using a tool that helps you to identify the issues here, and the issues can be as small as that. I mean, as different as hit area is too small. As we say that if the button on the screen that I have, tappable area of this button is very small, that people with some sort of disability, with Parkinson, for instance, right? So their hands are shaking. It's going to be very difficult for them to tap a particular button. So we should have a reasonable tappable area, and we should follow the guidelines. And so as I am speaking about the guidelines, all this voiceover itself, and all this when we use Accessibility Inspector, for instance, or similar tool in Android that run this audit and give you those warnings, they are not creating rules just because Apple team thinks so or Android team thinks so. There are rules that are well defined by the government agencies. And if your app is not following those rules, you might get sued by users. And I threw a few examples here in our notes that, besides the data that we've seen already, you can just go and check. This is the list of companies and celebrities who got sued by people with disabilities for their website or mobile application being not a very good standard accessibility-wise. So, for example, there was a woman, she lives in New York, she files a bunch of those cases often, and she is legally, she's not like someone who doesn't have disability. She does have a disability, but and she would sue the restaurants for inability for her to actually complete the transaction because the website is not built that way. So she couldn't find the checkout button on the website when she created her takeout order or delivery order, I don't remember. So that's one of the examples, and there are many of those. And the community of people with disabilities, they are actually doing that not because to earn a bunch of money, because oftentimes it's just something around $4,000. But you have to understand that you're also paying some fees for the court, and it's not the way to earn money if it goes to court. Usually it just gets settled before the court, of course. But in any case, they're not trying to make money, even though they're making money, but I think they're just trying to raise awareness. And you can read about lawsuit against Netflix. So there was no those captions, no text. So I watch, I cannot watch the movie. I cannot hear the movie, I'm sorry. But there was no captions, and so there was a lawsuit against Netflix for that. Domino Pizza, don't remember exactly what was it, but the funny part, they spent like 3 years in court fighting this lawsuit against, instead of just making the website accessible. There's a story of one legally blind athlete who has filed 175 lawsuits for accessibility issues. And there is also well-known Andres Gomez who filed more than 400 such cases against celebrities or businesses. And one of those celebrities were Kim Kardashian. So this is a screenshot from her previous version of her website. She has a store where she sells beauty products and some perfume, I believe. And so there was a store main page. It's a web page. So I do not have any issues with vision, except I need reading glasses. But I mean, even for me, how would you rate it accessibility-wise? Is it how does it even, you know, is it well readable? Can you read this? Is it what it is? Nope. So yeah, people with disabilities also decided no, and there was lawsuit, and I think it was settled before any court, of course, because it's just easier to pay money and make your site accessible. It just like makes much more sense. And I have a link to her new website, and so now we're talking. Yeah. So now I can read it, even though I don't want to. So if you are curious, you can check out those examples about those companies and other companies. And so they say, the experts say that they expect the number of lawsuits, to grow and grow, because they also, there's some data that by 2050, 20, no, I don't remember. There will be even higher number of people with disabilities, and it's not something that any application can avoid. We should do it, otherwise we can get sued. And it's just not about lawsuit, as I said. It's just like being a human and they making sure that your services are accessible for people with different type of impairments. And if you would, and I don't know how, but if you would enjoy working with those tools, VoiceOver and Talkback, and we will figure Accessibility Inspector, then there is a lot of openings for accessibility testing on the market currently. And also wanted to point out, you might see this in a job description, or you might see it at work. This abbreviation A11Y actually means accessibility. Why it's A11Y? It's because the word accessibility has 11 characters, and it's very common to shorten a particular long words and use first and last character and the number in between that would represent the number of characters in the word. If you ever will be working for a localization, it's going to be L10N. You will see this a lot. For internationalization, it's going to be I11N. So anything related to testing, something related to languages, you're going to see this a lot. If you're going to be working with accessibility, and even if you don't work with that, you're going to see this as a bug report labels or something in front of bug report. So get used to this abbreviation. Don't freak out what it is. You know what it is. It just means accessibility. And they do expect the number of accessibility lawsuits being raised, being growing. So a lot of apps nowadays are trying to actually get in shape, and that's why there are so many positions for accessibility testing. So what I'm also sharing in the notes is that these web content accessibility guide or guidelines to most recent versions. And what I also did today, I have requested from one of the sources the checklist that seemed well done to me, that explain it's from for the previous version, but it's fine. It just it didn't change much. So it explained what is this act what is this guide in general, why it was created, and so on and so forth. But what it also does have is the actual checklist that helps you not to forget, like non-text content, provide text alternative for non-text content. We just gave having examples with us and those buttons that are image buttons. If we speak about web-based applications that oftentimes have images that oftentimes are not loaded, which means that we have to have alternative text, something, we always have to have alternative text, so that the tools that helps user to read web content, they know what's the content, what is going on that picture. So they ask those pictures to be descriptive. And so that's something that you want to check with your web-based application as well. And so you can just follow this checklist, make notes, and if you ever will be, or if you, when you work with Looking Glass, for example, you can just use this checklist, and that's it. Or keep it this checklist for your future work, and use it at work. I still want to show you something, and which I actually was playing. So, oopsies and sorry for accessibility inspector. We'll figure out. See, I'm not genius. We'll figure out what happened to it. And I'm going to close Accessibility Inspector and move it out our way, and we will switch to Android then. So let's hope Android will not put us in the difficult position. Stop tasks. Android has a similar tool. If you have an Android device, oh, thank you, Dmitry. Different pattern. My bad. It has 11 characters. First is printed, last is printed. It has actually 13 characters in the word accessibility, and same pattern for localization in internationalization. So 13 characters, first is printed, last is printed, and the middle ones are represented as a number. Thank you. Good job. So I'm going to close this one as well. Like as I said, you already have VoiceOver if you have, or when you have iOS device, but you do not have, or might have, or might not have the application that called Talkback on your device. So I have a Talkback, and how to figure out if you have a Talkback. And Talkback is a tool that is same as VoiceOver, but for Android device. So you would go to settings. You will just use search functionality that will take you to Accessibility Suite. So you can search for Accessibility Suite or for the Talkback directly. So I'm just going to search for Talkback and hit return. And eventually we'll find it. And as of the demo for Talkback and accessibility in general, I will use one app that is created not by me, but it is shared by the Android team. It is part of Android development, optional part of Android development training they provide. So, and you can also have access to this app if you ever want to. First, I'm going to show you the app, and then I will explain where you can grab this app, and what will be your homework around similar thing. So I'm going to open up the application. Let's make it slightly louder. So my app is. I'm going to
Accessible. Looking Glass. Action. Phone. Out of Looking Glass. In.
Okay, 1 second.
Settings.
So 1 second is the phrase of the day today.
Navigate F button. Volume key shortcut off. Accept. Close features. Setting. Talkback.
On your physical device, you can create a shortcut that helps you.
Setting suggest. Open features. Close features.
Oh my god.
Open features. Setting suggest.
Accessibility. Why is this doing like that?
Volume key shortcut off in list 29 items. Open features. Accessibility. Ring. Sound settings button. Out of list.
I'm thinking what to do better.
Talkback on speak items on screen in list 29 items.
Give me a couple of minutes. You can put some tea. I'm not gonna let you out tonight until I show it to you. But before I need to show it to you, I need to bring this guy back to order. I'm going to, okay, I'm not showing my screen so that you don't see me suffering. I'm also going to, actually I'm just going to restart Android emulator, I guess, to see if it helps. And I will understand if you will leave, but if you don't, I will appreciate it. All right. I'm holding on. I started my emulator. Now I'm building the app that I'm going to use to show you accessibility problems and why they are occurring and what the developer was supposed to be doing. But it's building on my phone. I will start sharing my screen again. Okay, so my emulator is here. And what it so what is this app? I do not know. Everything is super slow. It's still installing, sorry. That's why it's not very much responsive. While it's doing that, you may ask me some questions random. No, don't say that. Wait. Launching activity. Okay. Wait, don't tell me it's wrong. Sorry, wrong emulator. This one doesn't have. Tools. And in the meantime, I'm going to kill my other emulator just to. You know, when you plan that beautiful session, but something, a bunch of things went wrong. We're not interested in Roller. We're going to close it. Well, we have a chance because now we're installing the other app on. Not only you can just if you prefer to read from about accessibility the inspector from the Apple, then you can read from Apple. What you need to do is just you can add to your search accessibility inspector space apple.developer.com, and it will probably give you, so thank you, Dmitry, it will give you some articles here, but they're usually not very visual-wise descriptive, so that's why I'm saying you can just look up accessibility inspector on YouTube and there will be video on that for sure. So we are looking at the application that was created by Android team as a basic Android accessibility code lab project. Before I will go and show anything here, I'm going to actually, I have to start accessibility Talkback, my Talkback tool. So I'm going to go to my settings. And when they load, I will find my Talkback. Search. And once it returns any results, I will try to start it. Victor, I hope you're typing with a solution, right? I don't know. Talkback, here we go. I can, because if I free up memory from here, it's gonna erase my Talkback. Makes sense? Because I have installed it here. I mean, I wish I could, but if I wipe data, then it will erase my Talkback. If I do this, Talkback will no longer be there. Which is gonna be very slow. That's it. That's the only downside here. So let's make it louder. And let's go to App Switcher.
Talkback on. Talkback. Ring. Settings. Basic Android access.
So basic Android accessibility.
Basic Android accessibility code lab. Content labeling screen button. Double tap to activate.
This application was developed by Android team, and it has few screens, and every screen has some sort of issues that they then you can fix. And we are going to go to content labeling screen, and that will have a couple of image buttons. So we're at the content labeling screen, and let's see how our buttons are.
Navigate up button. Double tap to activate.
Basically, navigate up means go one directory up, go back.
Content labeling screen.
Sounds good. It's just a header.
Jukebox.
It's an app name, sort of a screen name.
Enter favorite song, edit box. Double tap to enter text, double tap and hold to long press.
So basically, it's still clear, right? So we have, it says that it is a text box. I need to double tap to edit and explain. So because it has the placeholder, the Talkback can read from this placeholder that this is the enter favorite song purpose of this thing. It just reads the placeholder text. Let's take a look at Go button.
Go button. Double tap to activate.
So no issues with Go button. Go button has text, and Talkback can read from this attribute. Let's see what's gonna happen here.
Unlabeled button. Double tap to activate. Unlabeled button. Double tap to activate.
So basically here we also have some challenge because there are two buttons and two different play and pause, and they both unlabeled.
Unlabeled.
Yeah, so basically one place.
Unlabeled button.
Yeah.
Double tap to activate.
So basically on one screen we have at least 3 bugs. We have share button being unlabeled, and we also have play and pause button being unlabeled, and they are unlabeled because they are because those are image button. They have no text, and our developer did not do anything about it when he or she actually were supposed to do this.
Google Play System Update. Google Play System Update.
Not now. No updates now. So let's see, and what I'm going to see, what I'm going to show you, it's not something that you necessarily are going to be doing at work already, doing, but it's just for you to help you to understand why it is happening, why some buttons are readable and others are not readable, and what is this unlabeled.
Google Play System Update. Google Play System Update.
What is readable, what is not, and whose fault is that, and what developer was supposed to be doing. So, well, in Android, and what you are looking right now at is this particular screen that we just seen on my emulator, and this is the code for that screen. In this case, it's not activity, it's a fragment, but it doesn't really matter, so it's a different topic. And I'm going to close this. Try to move so that you can see it better. So this is my screen. It also has on UCreate some methods. So basically, this is my update button. There is not that much things here because it's just the business logic, and all my buttons are defined. All the attributes are defined in a different place. So I do not need it as of now. What do I need, and where developers should add their labels, and how those labels are looking? So they like, okay, one second. Sorry for jumping from one thing to the other. But for example, if we speak about our main website, how you can look up the structure of the website, how it was created, how I can look it up. I can go ahead and inside go to inspect. Inspect will bring the developer Chrome DevTools. In Chrome DevTools, I can take a look at HTML structure. I think everything on my computer is slow. I can also do other things here, but basically I can go check my how my application is structured, right? So what about, and that's basically how they do it. They would create HTML, they would write some HTML code in order to define the app elements. That they would use CSS to make them beautiful. Then they would use JavaScript to make them interactive. Or I don't know, whatever other technologies I use nowadays for making pages interactive. There are many. In any case, so that's how web developers are doing that. They're using HTML to create a structure. How application developers are using that. And they have a special place in Android specifically. This place is a resource folder. So if I go into the source folder, I have multiple subfolders here. And I'm going to go inside a layout subfolder, package folder, and then inside this folder I want to find my content labeling fragment. I want to see how it was structured on the screen, what kind of elements it has, and what is missing with those elements. So content labeling, content expand, grouping, content labeling XML. So everyone is pretty much familiar with XML because it's very much, maybe if you don't even ever seen that, it's so much human readable that you will understand what's going on if you decide to perform the homework on that, or even if you're just looking right now at the screen. So it looks like something that helps you to maintain some structure here. And we see some defined parameters. By the way, I can, so see I have code and I have design. So I can take a look from design standpoint, how my screen is looking, or I can look at this at the code standpoint, how my screen is looking. And this is similar to HTML that you can see in Chrome DevTools, something similar. And let's find out if anything look familiar to us if we compare to the screen that we just seen with our human eyes. I have something that called text view with the text being the attribute. Yeah, attribute text and value the jukebox. So this is this element, right? Let's see what else we have. I have image view, and it says that it's
updating place support libraries. Updating place support libraries.
And this is this element. We don't want to read it to the users who are blind. We have this edit text, and this is my hint. This is what my Talkback reads. Enter favorite song. My Talkback can access my screen structure, and it can find out, well, I have a hint for edit box or for edit text element. So in hints, hint says enter favorite song, and that's exactly what Talkback reads. So this is our button, which is go button. And because it has text, go, this is exactly what my Talkback can read. It reads from this attribute, from attribute text. So it can read from attribute hint, it can read from attribute text, and because it knows it is a button, it will also add this double tap to activate, or because it sees this is the edit text and will add double tap to edit blah, blah, blah. So that's how it knows what to do. But then we are going to our image buttons. So we have an image button. So we have two here in the layout.
Updating place support libraries. Updating place support libraries.
So the first one is from the word share. I can figure, well, this is this button, right? So this is the share button, image button, and this is my second one. That is so it okay. So this is my second one. Long story short, that basically play pause toggle view. Play pause toggle view. It is a button that plays two roles depending on the current state. And what is my developer was supposed to be doing in order to actually help me as a user with visual impairments? He or she, if we have something like image button, we need to add another attribute that would be content description. So this is my image button. I know it's share. My developer is missing this line. Android. And then I'm gonna just start typing content description. It will give me this hint. I'm just gonna add it. Android content description. And inside content description, I can actually provide a description. So how would we want to describe this button? What does this button do? Just, what should be the content description? What do you think? What would you suggest Talkback would actually read to us? This is coming from you. You can sort of you create the layout. And then you have predefined elements that you can use within this layout. So you sort of drag and drop and rearrange them and define your element weight, heights, and all other parameters. And I was answering to Dmitry. proceed to share. You know, I can give me a random word to the word share. So normally we would just be happy with the word share, but I want to prove that I'm not fooling you. So I don't know. I can let's add something. Okay, let's say share with May 18th. Okay, so that you know that something that is coming exactly from here. It's not something that all of the sudden our Talkback started reading. I'm going to reveal this app right now to see how we fix it. So let's see. In the meantime, I'm going to have our share button. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. Like, okay, usually it would be share button or yeah. So I added the extra text just for us so that we know that's exactly from here because we just added it together randomly. So my app is still building. You can see Gradle build running. It's building very slow because I think everything is slow in my computer right now. Nap time or question answers time. I'm going to continue answering Dmitri's question. Like inside HTML, they have tags, right, that you can use. And if you use div or tr, td to create tables, things like that, those are predefined by the creators of HTML, right? But you are using them in the order you want to use. So now it says install. It got closed because we have a new updated version. It's installing that.
Google app, double tap to activate, double tap and hold to long press.
It is Kotlin. No, it is Java, I guess. Let me double check because this project, as I said, it's not me who have written that. I have pulled it from the website. Yes, it's Java because see this time it says something extends. If it were Kotlin, we would just have a column here. So it's Java syntax. This fragment is a baby of the superclass of the parent class fragment. Let me go back to our content labeling HTML, and this is our Android, and eventually it will get installed. I promise you. It just says installed still. No, extends not like functions. I think the same thing across all languages. I mean, I'm not very much familiar with JavaScript, but functions as the same as methods. We've seen on create, on stop, on resume, blah, blah, blah. All those are methods, or in some other languages, they call functions. In Kotlin and Java, they call methods. But it's the same. It's just the word for ability to do something. And by the extents, it's OOP, stop. Yes. There are 4 principles of object-oriented programming. One of those principles is inheritance, which means I don't have to create a bunch of things from scratch. I can just inherit from my parents. Oh my goodness, install is taking so much time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in meantime, I want to switch to worst case scenario. I'm going to, after the class, I'm going to just share a fixed project with you, and you can check if it's working or not. But basically, and maybe it will get installed while I'm explaining the other part. So it is super easy with the buttons that are not dynamic, like that image button that plays the role of button that is bringing up application you can share with or via. But we have a tough case here. We had this play and pause button, and on our structure, it is just one image button because it takes one place on the screen. So I cannot add content description here because if I choose to add pause, then when I it will eventually switch to play. So it should say different things depending on the condition. So it's something extra. You don't have to remember that or know that. I'm just going to show it to you so that we complete fixing the screen. So content description, fragment. So I cannot fix it here in my layout. I need to fix it in my fragment logic. And what is update image button? This is by the way what you refer as the function in JavaScript or method in Java. So this is created by developer. This is a helper method that is changing the that is changing that. Can I stop it, by the way? Actually, I can, but how can I stop it, by the way? It changes the icon on the button. So it changes from pause to play when it's needed. Once user taps this button, it is going to change the icon to a different one because it's just changing its prospective behavior. And so in our case, developers would have to fix it right here. So I would have to do it. So in this particular case, I'm so sorry. In this particular case, my image view sets the image from the resource. It's just okay. Now I have to show pause image. Now I have to show play error image. Sounds good. Now I have to do something similar, but for the content description. So I'm going to say play pause toggle view. And then I'm going to set content description. So same story. Last time we set it in XML file. Here I'm going to say that it is paused. Pause. If the image is paused, then content description should read pause. Pause, and then in this particular case, MP room set content description. And then in this case, we're gonna say play. Yeah. So that's the whole thing about programming, right? There's a lot of those. This set image resource or set content descriptions. It's also something that is not implemented. Those methods are not implemented by developers that are coming with all Android development package and with all the libraries, so that they are available. And so if let's see, no, it's still not there. Let me try to build it again with both fixes. And if it's not going to take forever, we're going to see the fixes. While it is building, I'm going to show you where you can find this project if you want to, and how you can try to fix smaller app. Inside your notes, you will find Android links and iOS links, apparently. In Android links, they will lead you to Android. Okay, so they are going to lead you to this link, Accessibility Basics. And it's gonna take you to the website that is Code Labs website, something that small projects from Android to practice on. And they are going to give you introduction into accessibility in general and how to get set up. And by set up, they just say, if you want to play with our small project.
Android Accessibility Code Lab. Content labeling screen button. Double tap to activate.
Sorry, it got installed. So if they will say if you want to fix our small counter app, so that has some unlabeled buttons as well, then you can download it, and they would explain you how to fix it, and also they will tell you about one more tool that is called Accessibility Scanner. Okay, sorry for jumping to something else. So this is where you find it. Let me just show how to fix it, and then I will get back to that. So this is, let's go to our content label screen. And we are going to, our go button is still
button.
working.
Double tap to activate.
Yeah. Now let's see our fix for our share button.
Share with May 18th button. Double tap to activate.
Yeah, that's our button. Let's see if we got it right here.
Play button. Double play button. Pause. Pause button. Double tap to activate.
Yeah, we just fixed the whole screen here. You can take the same project, or you can just go with a smaller one. Smaller one is what I've just shown to you. That is a counter app that you can download from the whole project, the whole source code. You can download to your computer. You can open it up in Android Studio, go to the source folder, and fix this counter app yourself, just to understand how things are working and how they are set up in terms of accessibility. So in section 6, they will guide you. Same story. They will tell you, go to resource folder, find your image button, and add content description. Something that we just did with you and tonight here. Where you can find it exactly. So link in resources, I guess, or introduction, I believe. If not, it is right there. GitHub. So github.com, Google Code Labs Android Accessibility. So you're just gonna go to GitHub, and there are 3 projects, and you're gonna download the whole thing. So basically, this is our basic Android accessibility that we just been fixing, written in Java. This is the same basic Android accessibility that we just have been fixing, written in Kotlin. And this is the small app, counter app. I think it's also in Kotlin. How you can get it to your computer? You're gonna click code, and you're gonna download zip. You don't have to clone it. Just download zip to your computer. Once it's inside your computer, you are going to unzip your folder. Steps are the same for both of us, iOS and Android users. So I'm going to close the project right now. And it's going to say terminate to show you how to open yours. So unzip folder, and then you are on your Android Studio welcome screen. You are on this welcome screen.
Google app, double tap to activate, double tap and hold to long press.
You are on your welcome screen, and you're gonna say open an existing Android Studio project because you downloaded and unzip your folder. You will select this one. And find it where you downloaded it. Apparently, I downloaded it into downloads, and apparently, the folder will have the name Android Accessibility. And here, you have a choice which one you want to open. If you would want to open the smaller one, which is counter, you will highlight it and click open. And it's going to open the project in your Android Studio. And you can follow the tutorial that you have here. Here where you have over here. You will follow that. You will find your project resource folder. You will find your unlabeled elements. By the way, it's already open. It's so small. So just make sure that you have it open as Android. And then you can unfold app here, source here, main here. This is your code. This app has only one screen. That's why it's so easy to work with it compared to previous one that we've seen. So this main screen or main activity, you don't have to know Kotlin in order to understand what's going on here, because it just explains that, well, we have some sort of count, and if add button clicked, then we increase count by 1. If subtract button clicked, then we decrease count by 1. Of course, it's not going to be labeled. Otherwise, what's the purpose of this project? You will go to resource folder. You will go to resource folder. You will find a layout, and you will find your activity main XML. You will find your image buttons, and you will add content descriptions. And it's going to be your first fixed accessibility bug. You can also play with this app. and change the color. If you go to values, you can change color of strings. String is the text, right? So in values, you will find the current app color, primary dark, primary accent. What is the color? I don't remember in the counter. So it's all blue things you can change if you want, just for fun. You can change color in your counter app and share with us how you've changed it. You can change strings in strings, what we have in strings. Strings app name, counter app, change it to whatever you want. Counter that is in the middle of the screen, you can also change it. Counter, May 18, whatever. So it just to have it more fun and to feel yourself making a difference in the app. And then once you're done with your changes and fixes, you will select the target. And you will select the target. Are you building that onto your physical device or emulator? And then that's basically it. Why my thing is red here and target is not selectable? Because my project is still finishing up a couple of processes. I cannot yet build it anywhere. Make sense? So if you see something like this, just make sure to wait until all things here are done. Everything is done, then you can start working on your counter if you want to. As I said, this part is optional. You don't have to do it. But if you want to have fun, please do it. And basically, we have voiceover for black box testing, accessibility inspector available in Xcode. We have Talkback for the black box testing, and we have accessibility scanner. Very much similar. It takes a snapshot of your app and tells you have issues with unlabeled button. You have issues with small tappable area. This application available, accessibility scanner, available in Play Store. You can download it to your iPhone, Android device, I'm sorry, and try to use it as well. Yeah. All links also included in the notes. If you will be comfortable at the level that you can even say, if you're comfortable with GitHub and Git comments, you can even say that I was working on accessibility depending on the level of comfort. You can say that you've been performing accessibility testing, and if bugs were as simple as just missing label, I would even go ahead and fix those bugs by agreement with developers. Why GitHub? Because in this case, you would clone the code, you would create your branch, you would make changes inside the code, and you would commit your code, and you would create pull requests eventually. So without all that, I would not recommend to mention that you fix something. But understanding of why things not working, because you understand how things should be built, is beneficial. Yeah. So I'm going to close this one. Any 100 million questions about homework or anything? I bet Albina says good night. Albina, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of. I like how you say it all the time. It's our tradition. Thank you so much. I appreciate your very nice, kind words. Okay, so we still have Slack. I know that was not very much. They fighting this slowness and everything. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions when you try things. And you can ask me on Slack or ask one another on Slack. And please don't forget to participate in our homework that is about our project. So please share your answer. How would you answer to what were your project activities and other things? And I will see you on 24th And we are going to talk about Charles proxy. I don't know when the next bootcamp, by the way, but I've seen you've been talking about joining bootcamp. So I do agree. If I were you, I would go to the bootcamp. With either with Sophia or Galina, it doesn't really matter. They both are great. And I hope that our discussion during next session will set you in the mood, because sometimes people go to the bootcamp, but it feels like, at least people I've been clearing on campus, I gave you example with just listing the tools without understanding why they use them. And I think the main failure that a lot of those people had, not everyone, but some of them and quite a few, is that they are having a great chance to access the same app from different levels, API, database, UI, and they are not, because they just didn't think about it, the product as a whole, they whole bootcamp duration, they still living this bootcamp without having the app architecture in hand, and how things are actually related, and what you are accessing every time with different tools, where you are in the app. So I think that I'm hoping that Charles proxy session will help you to understand that, and also better prepare you for the bootcamp in the sense that to learn not to trust what you see, and understand where things can go wrong, and how you can find those things and where to look for those. That was a teaser. I'll see you in 2 weeks almost.